It is finally our season, Pisces, and I am so excited to start off by talking about one of the most interesting rising signs out there, the Pisces Rising. Hola my beautiful lotus flowers, welcome back or welcome to my channel. If you're into nerding out on everything astrology, spirituality, and self-transformation, this is a community for you. Today is all about the Pisces rising sign. If you're not quite familiar with what the rising sign is, then I highly encourage you to go back and watch my video all about the rising signs to get more clarification. But as a little summary for the sake of this video, your rising sign is where the sun was rising on the eastern horizon at the moment you were born. The rising sign is more of how we show up in the world when we don't know people very well. It can reveal a lot about our purpose in the world as well. Whereas our sun sign is more of our egotistical nature and how we like to show up physically. And then our moon sign is more of our emotional nature. We're going to start the video by talking about 5 of the biggest general traits that you should know about a Pisces rising. Then we're going to talk about some difficulties a Pisces rising may deal with in life. And then we'll follow that up with strengths that a Pisces rising may have in life. Then to finish it off, we will talk about Pisces rising celebrities and how they showcase the traits we talked about. First, let's discuss the general traits of somebody who has a Pisces rising. First, it's important to know that Pisces is the mutable water sign ruled by Neptune, co-ruled by Jupiter, and symbolized by the 2 fish. A Pisces rising sun and moon will all display these traits in their own unique ways, and I'm about to break down how a Pisces rising may showcase these traits specifically. But I want you to keep in mind that if for some reason you know for a fact the Pisces rising is your ascendant sign, but you don't seem to connect with a lot of the traits, then I encourage you to look at where Neptune and Jupiter are located in your chart, because where the planetary rulers of Pisces are located will heavily influence how you express your Pisces rising sign. Number 1, the co-rulership of Neptune and Jupiter makes Pisces rising come off as elusive, spiritual, otherworldly beings with an openly accepting nature. Neptune is the planet of the unknown, illusions, other realms, while Jupiter is the planet of philosophy, higher thinking, and expansion. Neptune's strong influence over the Pisces rising sign is what will give these people an often unintentional but mysterious, mystical aura about them. And it's not necessarily the same type of mystery that like a Scorpio rising may have, where they're kind of like sexy and intimidating or interesting. It's more so that they are interesting because they're mysterious, but they just seem like they're not real. Like they seem like they're somewhere else, and oftentimes they are usually lost in their own little daydreamy fantasy world, and as a byproduct this makes them seem very mystical and mysterious to those who first meet them. But if you were to actually talk to them, you'll find that because of the Neptune and Jupiter influence on them, they are very, very, very open-minded and empathetic people who are super open to hearing other people's perspectives and ways of life. Number 2, they are usually going with the flow and soaking up the energies of everything happening around them. Again, this is a mutable rising sign. So mutable tends to mean that this sign has an adaptable-like nature. The way that a Pisces rising showcases this mutable nature of Pisces is that they tend to be a lot more free-spirited yet empathetic. Kind of like a chameleon changes their appearance depending on their surroundings, the Pisces will tend to adapt to the energy around them. So their energy and state of being is constantly shifting based on what's happening in their environment. Number 3, although they can be empathetic and personable, they still give off a sense of being a bit reserved and difficult to figure out. Being a water rising sign, there's often a heightened sensitivity to what's happening around them. So oftentimes they unconsciously check into their fantasies rather than reality, which makes them seem quiet, or they tread their surroundings carefully because they're often able to observe and feel their way around what's happening in their environment. They aren't the type to just jump into a group and start conversating. And it's because of this great water-based intuition, because all the water risings have great intuition, but it's because of their specific intuition with the influence of Neptune that they tend to be so good at seeing through illusions and seeing through what's fake and what's real, and also seeing what energy may be serving them and what isn't. So they can see through a lot of things that other people can't. Number 4. Pisces rising is able to connect on a deeper level to almost anything and anyone, making them masters at understanding other people's perspectives / experiences in a way that no one else can. Because Pisces is represented by 2 fish swimming in opposite directions that are tied together, this is meant to showcase the duality that a Pisces represents in their nature. And a lot of times this duality is between so many different things for a Pisces, but especially the light and the dark side. This is actually one of the most important things that makes a Pisces so able to be open to other people's ways of life, other people's perspectives, and other people's experiences that a lot of others may judge or look down upon. Because a lot of times a Pisces experiences really low lows and really high highs, and they haven't been to the dark side and they have been to the light side, and they constantly are usually fighting between the two or trying to shift between the two. So not only are they able to see through a lot of the illusions in the world, but they can see things from almost like a third person perspective. Even if it is the scariest individual that a lot of people do not like, they are oftentimes willing to still empathize or find some type of ray of light in this person's story or background, whereas other people would just be done with them or think that they're nothing but grotesque and evil and awful. Again, it's because of this rare awareness that they have between light and dark and the illusions of the world that they are able to do this. If you're a Pisces rising sign, be sure you're leaving a comment down below, because I love to know that my Pisces risings are watching. And be sure that you're not forgetting to like, subscribe, and hit the bell, because it helps me reach so many more people just like you who want to learn about astrology and spirituality. Now, let's talk about some difficulties that a Pisces rising may experience in the world. Number 1, they can become so idealistic due to their constant daydreaming to where they become disconnected and non-acceptant of reality. Their strong Neptune and water influence makes them a heavy daydreamer. So when harsh reality hits them, it can hit them extra hard because they tend to latch on to the hope of what they saw in their fantasy, and they want that to happen so bad, and they have such high hopes. Any Pisces placements tend to latch on to either the bad thing or the good thing that they see, and they really want that to happen, or they really think it's going to happen. And so when reality hits them, it hits them extra hard, because that's not how reality works. What you expect to happen isn't always what happens. Unlike someone like a Capricorn rising who kind of smashes all obstacles in their way and climbs mountains with no problem and is kind of just made to be this warrior that overtakes obstacles, a Pisces rising is a lot more sensitive to these things and can have a lot harder of a time dealing with the harsh realities that life brings them. So it's very important that they find a way to balance their idealistic, dreamy nature with keeping themselves grounded in reality as well. Because if they don't, being too lost in their fantasies and their hopes for their fantasies can actually lead them down an escapist type path, whether they're trying to escape through remaining isolated, through drugs, through certain substance abuse, etc. Number 2, they can be hypersensitive to what is happening around them, soaking all the energy up like a super absorbent sponge. Although this acute sensitivity to the energy around them can be a super awesome trait to have and super positive in its own way, it can take a lot of inner growth and healing for the Pisces rising to become mentally and emotionally strong enough to actually make this a positive trait. This is because they need to make sure they're not allowing all those various energies that they are constantly soaking up to actually get to them and weigh them down. In fact, if they aren't careful and they aren't ensuring that they're regularly taking care of themselves, they're building their inner strength, their inner self-love, then they can find that they have a higher potential to be taken advantage of by others. They are simply so naturally empathetic and willing to understand others and where they're coming receiving from, but people just don't always tend to reciprocate. And this is where a Pisces rising may lose themselves and also become too invested in someone else's energies that they're feeding off of, instead of keeping healthy boundaries when people don't reciprocate that type of sensitivity that the Pisces rising has. Third, they can easily find themselves in very manipulative, unhealthy partnerships. Many significant Pisces placements have a strong possibility of this happening just because of their naturally sensitive and empathetic and often very loving nature. Pisces tend to be known for their above average ability to understand, heal, and empathize even the most hated, looked down upon individuals in the world. But as powerful as that is, and as much of a strength as that can be, it is often what can also lead a Pisces rising or other Pisces placements down a dark path in their friendships, relationships, etc. So once again, it is vital for a Pisces rising to ensure they have a regular practice to reinforce healthy boundaries for themselves. So once again, they're not losing themselves and other people or becoming too dependent on someone who isn't good for them. Now let's talk about some strengths that a Pisces rising may have. Number one, they have the potential to become some of the most powerful communicators. When you think of communication abilities, you often think of the air signs, but especially Gemini and maybe even the earth sign Virgo, because they're both ruled by Mercury, which is the planet of communication. So you might be wondering how a Pisces rising would fit into this. Well, this potential actually stems from their highly empathetic and intuitive abilities when being around other people. They can really feel around their energy and feel how they should be interacting with other people. Because they are often so open to understanding others, this gives them an amazing ability to communicate with people that a lot of other people may judge or be closed off to. However, the ways in which they choose to communicate with people may take more artistic or unique forms. It's not going to be as technical as a Gemini or a Virgo's form of communication. It's probably going to take the form of like music, painting, etc. Some type of artistic way to communicate to the masses, to people who they can empathize with and who they want to understand their message. Second, they possess an effortless ability to detect what's an illusion from what is real. Again, their strong Neptune influence makes them amazing at diffusing boundaries and recognizing what is an illusion from what's real. Because of this, on top of their natural intuition and sensitivity to energy from being a water sign, they are really good at picking up on invisible cues that something just isn't right around them. So like I said earlier, as long as they're doing the inner work and making sure that they're building themselves up through self-care and self-love, then they will have the strength mentally and emotionally to be able to detect when somebody is being real, when somebody is being dishonest, and all of these other things that are important, especially for a Pisces rising, to protect their energy in daily life. Third, because of their vivid imagination and constant daydreaming of their ideal life, they actually have a powerful ability to manifest the life they desire. If any of you are familiar with visualization meditations, these are kind of what Pisces risings are doing 24/7 on their own. Visualizing the life that you desire to live as if you are already living it and feeling those emotions as if you're already living it is a well-known and powerful way to manifest the desired reality that you have. Because Pisces risings don't tend to stop and think too practically or too logically about the daydreams and the fantasies that they have, and they really wholeheartedly put faith into those daydreams a lot of times, this can actually become a positive thing if they choose to live in alignment with that fantasy that they have. Then they can manifest that reality a lot easier than a lot of other people might. Once again, this also comes from their Neptune influence, because Neptune, again, is the planet of other realms and other realities, illusions, and dreams. So the way that you can see this is that Pisces rising is able to really cross that boundary. A lot of people keep themselves caged in this reality, in this realm. But Pisces risings have a powerful ability to pass the realms. They pass those invisible boundaries that a lot of people place on themselves, and they believe in the possibility of these realities that a lot of other people can't even fathom. All right, let's talk about 3 Pisces rising celebrities and how they showcase some of these traits. The first celebrity we have is Michael Jackson. First of all, going back to their unique artistic communication style, you could definitely hear this in how he spoke and definitely through his different music styles that set him apart. He also has the typical mysterious, quote-unquote, bedroom eyes type of look that most Pisces risings tend to have. He also built Neverland, which was meant to be like an escape for himself and for kids because he never felt like he had a normal childhood. So this is the best example of his fantasy-driven, escapist type nature that aligns with the traits of a Pisces rising. He wanted a place here in the physical world that he probably daydreamed about. He probably daydreamed about a place like Neverland for himself and for kids who get to live their best childhoods. So if that doesn't showcase the Pisces rising's traits, I don't know what else will. Second, we have Billie Eilish. First of all, her look screams Pisces rising once again. She has a mysterious yet friendly aura and those bedroom eyes that tend to look dazed or like she's daydreaming. And she actually wears oversized clothes in order to prevent body shaming, which is such a Pisces rising type of thing for her to do because she does not want people focusing on her physical self. She wants people to focus on her art and focus on who she is. She is also reluctant about her use of social media and considers it to be a dangerous tool. Her first song that was ever released is called Ocean Eyes. And if you listen to that song, it is a very, very Pisces rising song. It's artistic, it's romantic, it's a very idealized way of looking at somebody that you love, and she has a very unique way of putting it. And latching onto that concept, she overall tends to communicate in a very individual, unique way through her music. Oftentimes, her music tends to have more complex, intricate messages to it, and she likes to showcase this in the actual music videos as well. Third, we have Ryan Gosling. First of all, he definitely 100% also has the dreamy bedroom eyes with the kind of mysterious, interesting aura as well. And it's funny because a fun fact about The Notebook is that he actually wasn't cast that role because he's good looking or whatever. The director or the producer, I can't remember, actually cast him in that role because of the opposite. He thought he wasn't typically the good looking type or whatever. So the fact that this producer of The Notebook took an interest in him because he thought he had a unique look, not necessarily handsome, but unique, and there was something that was interesting and drew you in about him, is a huge Pisces rising thing. Just like Billie Eilish, he does have an elsewhere type gaze. Even if he is engaged to speaking to someone, it doesn't seem like he's 100% there. A fun fact about him, just like The Notebook, is that he actually decided to open a Moroccan restaurant on a whim in Beverly Hills, and it basically bankrupted him to where he had to do a lot of the work in the restaurant himself, including the plumbing. This is a perfect example of a Pisces rising's idealistic nature, where they tried to take one of their fantasies, put it into reality on a complete whim with no real financial backing, no practical backing, just completely off of the daydream itself and the desire itself. Jumped headfirst and ended up becoming bankrupt and got him into a lot of really deep problems for a while. Again, if you're a Pisces rising and you enjoyed this video, be sure you're leaving a comment down below letting me know that you are. And don't forget, once again, to like, subscribe, and hit the bell, pretty please, so I can reach other people like you. And you can hop over to the LaBlue Lotus Facebook community, where we talk more about using astrology, spirituality for self-transformation. And if you want to see more personal content from me, you can head over to my Instagram at Marisa LaBlue. But until our next video, be sure you're watching these videos to also help you on your spiritual, astrological journey. And until I see you next time, thank you so much for being here. Adios.